Board of County Commissioners to order. Beth, will you call roll?
Barry,
Here.
Corey,
Here.
Bo,
Here.
David.
Here.
We have a quorum. We will continue, and we'll start with the pledge. Okay, we'll start with the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll go on to planning and zoning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning,
Um,
Sam.
Sam Miller with County Planning. So I'll just start off. Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. So at the August 3rd Board of County Commission meeting, you all had asked staff to research the ability to allow RVs on residential properties outside of the designated, oh, there we go, outside of designated RV, trailer, or mobile home parks. So I did look into 5 different counties, specifically with waterfront lots, to see how they regulate RVs. Those counties included Bottineau County, which is Lake Metagoshi, Ramsey County, Mercer County, Valley County, which is in Montana, and Madison County, which is also in Montana. A comparison spreadsheet is attached to this report. Just some highlights from that comparison spreadsheet. So it's pretty standard across states that any RVs that are under 3 RVs on a property are typically handled by local governments, and then 3 and over usually is when state kicks in, because that's when it becomes a designated RV park and they have to meet a lot more criteria and regulations. So you'll see that number throughout this report, 3 being the threshold for when the state kind of is kicked in. So a lot of these counties, they have local health departments that work in conjunction with their planning department. We work with Upper Missouri District Health, but we obviously aren't in the same building. We don't talk with them super regularly. They have staff that they do look at RV parks. But it seems kind of throughout the theme of these counties was that if it was under 3, it was allowable on private property. So I spoke with our ND Health Department, specifically Mike Lee and Ann Winkleman. Mike Lee is in Bismarck and Ann is here in town, regarding health department regulations around RV trailers and mobile homes. Like I said, they only inspect 3 or more RVs on one property. Both mentioned that enforcement and waste disposal were issues that they deal with pretty regularly. So you'll kind of see that come up too. I just wanted to note that my definition that I was using for RVs is what the state century code uses, and that's in the staff report. I've listed 4 options to kind of look at after doing the research. There are a few avenues that we can go to. I'll go through those if you'd like after. I'll just kind of leave it high level for now, and then if you have questions, I'll address those. So necessary permits required by state agencies, they would have to register with the North Dakota Department of Transportation. And then, like I said, with 3 or more RVs, they would have to get a license through the state. Some possible issues with allowing RVs, less than 3 RVs on a property. You know, you guys know better than probably a lot of people, but we have dealt with RVs being used as permanent living quarters in the past. And our intent with this would be for seasonal or temporary use on properties, specifically if they're near water. That kind of gets a little hard to define when it's near water. We'd probably have to put some kind of definition of what near water would mean if we were going to allow these. Just lack of oversight and enforcement, codes, covenants, and restrictions within subdivisions. So a lot of these subdivisions do have their own private CCNRs. If they didn't allow RVs, then we couldn't really override that and allow RVs on private property. North Dakota Century Code has strict guidelines and rules for all mobile home parks, recreational parks, and campgrounds. This is among other reasons, but a main one is for waste disposal and to ensure that the waste disposal is occurring at disposal stations. And then finally, there's no oversight or regulation on that waste disposal. So my conclusion from this report was that permits seem to be the only way we can regulate the location, use, and intent of these RVs. And then consideration for the applications. And I've kind of listed some things that I've noticed just in doing research. So on the application, we would have to see a site plan of where those RVs are going to go on the property just to make sure it's separated enough from other RVs and existing houses. There is like a fire code, so you'd have to maintain 10-foot distance from other structures. A potable water source, number of RVs, waste disposal, and then proof that they aren't in violation of their CCNRs if those exist within the subdivision. And then at the last meeting, or last meeting we talked about this, I had brought up that it could be possible to explore having RVs in existing small lot residential zoning districts, so that ESR. The only thing that is an issue with that is that there are a lot of town sites within the county. Like, for example, Zoll is all zoned ESR. So if we allowed RVs to be parked on properties within the town of Zoll, they could have up to 3 on each property. That could pose as a possible issue. It works well in subdivisions like the Blacktail Dam subdivision, but that's zoned ESR as well. But it just doesn't always work, I don't think, in ESR.
Sam, is there a way to define that as a recreational area?
Yeah, so there's a term in zoning just called overlay districts. You see that in the city. They have the downtown overlay district, so it's kind of zoning on top of zoning. We could always explore that, definitely. Probably have to get some kind of committee created, so I'm not just doing it myself. I'd like to get some feedback on that. But yeah, we can definitely explore that. None of these counties that I looked at did something like that. It's typically reserved for places of like employment growth or job creation. That's where overlay districts are more used. So this was just more of an informative thing, not a decision. No decision needs to be made.
Good morning, Commissioners. And just to add on to what Sam said, yeah, definitely not looking for a decision, but maybe some input in the future where you would like us to move with this, what direction to take. We're just kind of seeking some guidance from the board since it was brought up by the board that we should look at maybe possibly changing these. So
And this started from the lots that are by Red Mike there.
Right, and that's, I mean, I understand what you're talking about, like Zoll or something, but I guess I had it in my head, it was gonna be, you know, like waterfront properties, not, you know, not just because it's a small or a smaller than normal lot. If it wasn't around the lake, then it didn't count, or, you know what I mean? I'm quite out of worded, I guess, but lakefront, small lots, right?
But I think that's where the overlay district recreational zoning, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we can look at that too. And I think having an application in our office too to make sure we can see where they're going to place these, how long they're going to place these. We'd probably only look at like from May to October. You can have this on here, more of a temporary use. I think that's the direction I was thinking. But yeah, like within the application, we'd have to identify lakefront property, because what if you're right next to the lake, I'm across the street, and I can't have my RVs, you know? So it'd have to be I think within the proximity of access to a lake or water body or something like that. We'd have to come up with a definition for that.
Perfect.
Is this, I mean, besides the one that we've discussed that came, has this been a huge problem? I mean, I guess I haven't heard about, it seems to me like we're putting a lot of work into something that's kind of been taking care of itself.
It's been going on.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
So,
you
I mean,
drive
that-
through any of these places, there's RVs parked there at all of them. I mean, or not all of them, a lot of them. So I, you know, are we asking Sam and the department to do something that's really kind of doesn't need to be done? That's my opinion.
I guess personally, I agree with you, Corey. I mean, if it isn't a problem, why are we even talking about it? I mean, I think most people that probably own those lots don't want them there all the time anyway either. I'm sure it's just a seasonal thing, from what I've ever seen driving around, I guess.
But I think what we're trying to do is give a direction from a leadership perspective, and I guess we were the ones that asked. So to just say, well, I guess we shouldn't do anything, is maybe a,
Well, then maybe we should just keep it short, simple, and sweet. Allow up to 2 seasonal from, like you said, Sam, April 1 to October 1, and leave it at that.
right, and then I think you have exceptions, right, where you can do a temporary use, where let's say they're having a family reunion, or was there any kind of accommodation for that? I guess that's what,
So through the state, they can only have 3 or less, or yeah,
2 or less, right? 3 or more is where they step in, right?
right, 3 or more. They expect 3 or more, yeah, so 1 or 2 they can only have on their property before the state gets involved. But we don't allow anything right now through our current code. And the gentleman who came in a few weeks ago, he was trying to come into compliance and do it the right way, and we just didn't have a process for him to allow having RVs on his private property outside of those RV parks.
Right, and I see that Botno or Lake Metagoshi they have like a allowable for less than 5 days in any one calendar year. Was that for 2? Or was that for more than, was it 3 or more?
That was for 2.
That was just for 2, okay.
And if I may just add to what you had mentioned, Corey, that it is not something that we get commonly through our office. And when it does happen, they approach the board to seek a variance or a waiver, although there's not really a correct term for that, but that's what they're doing. I'm sure, as you know, we don't see a lot of those. Again, it is complaint-based, so we're not out there just, banging on doors at lakefront properties. And so it hasn't really been an issue for our office to enforce the regulations the way they currently are, but there is no necessarily permitted use either. So if we do have homeowners complain about their neighbor with 1 or 2 RVs, then we do tell them they need to have them removed, and then they have that choice to either comply or appeal within a certain time frame to this board. But again, it's not something we have a lot of. But yeah, Sam is correct that we currently don't allow any unless it's a designated RV park or if it's farmhands, doing harvesting out in ag districts. We certainly allow that without any permit or anything like that.
Well, then I guess my opinion would be if it hasn't been an issue with the department, we leave it alone, because it seems like every time we initiate something new, it never fits everybody's needs, and then all of a sudden we're months, years down the road, we're constantly making changes to improve it to everybody. So to me, I would suggest we just leave it alone until it becomes an issue.
Okay,
I would agree. I believe that's leave sleeping dogs lie, right?
very good. We'll move on then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work.
Okay. Next on the agenda is LU-0108-21. On behalf of Transport Me, they're requesting a zone change to rural commercial and a conditional use permit for a caretaker's residence on an existing 8-acre parcel. The property is currently within the residential, which is our old zoning district, zone classification. This will be updated to rural residential with the comprehensive zoning map update. However, they are requesting a zone change to rural commercial. The zone change request stems from the transportation bus company that will service Williston Basin School District 7 and Williston State College. The use is listed as a permitted use in rural commercial zoning districts. And within the zoning ordinance, commercial parking lots are listed as an incompatible use when abutting residential properties. Because of this, the zone change is approved. The applicant will be required to install a buffer strip around the use. So as you can see from the aerial map, this is a residentially used subdivision. It's also residentially zoned subdivision. The applicant is also requesting a conditional use permit for a caretaker's residence on the existing home. So you will see on the aerial there is a red roof structure. That is where the existing living quarters is. So project details, the applicant stated that he will have 12 to 13 buses of varying sizes parked on the property, 2 big motor coach buses for Williston State College, and the possibility of parking the Williston State College Foundation bus as well, 5 school buses for K through 12, and 5 shuttle buses. There is an attached site plan to this report. The applicant has 4 full-time employees. 2 will live in the living quarters in the red roof structure. That is the owner and his spouse, and then there are 5 part-time employees as needed. The parking lot must accommodate bus parking and employee parking, and the applicant is aware of that. It will also, by staff's request, have to be hard surfaced, so that could mean crushed gravel, asphalt, cement, but it will have to meet our county standards for hard surface. This property is within an employment area as described in the comprehensive plan, which means that in the future, we would like this area to go to commercial and industrial. However, this area specifically has been built out for residential uses, and we wouldn't just kick off those residences. It's just a plan along major corridors to have commercial and industrial uses in the future. I reached out to Joel Wilt with NDDOT for comment. Specifically because this use would be changing from residential to commercial, and also Highway 2 is a heavily trafficked road, and this could generate more traffic due to the employees coming in and out of this site. He commented that based upon the size of the operation, they wouldn't need to obtain approval from the DOT. He mentioned that in the future, he'd like to see this access point go away. He thinks there's too many access points right in a row along this stretch of highway, but there's about 8 properties that utilize this access approach, so that's not a possibility right now to close that approach down. The applicant stated that the parking area for the buses and employee parking would not create, or the footprint wouldn't be more than an acre, so Water Board would not have to weigh in on this project. I've listed the staff's comment regarding the CUP evaluation criteria. This is just in regard to the caretaker's residence, so the employees that will live in the living quarters will be on the same site that the buses are parked. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial for this project, and the township also recommended denial for this project, listing concerns that it isn't an appropriate approach. It's already kind of dangerous. There's a hill right there, and there's no visibility for eastbound traffic. Wayne did go out there. I went out there myself, and Wayne didn't have any specific comments to include in this report. The applicant is present if you'd like to speak with her. And then that concludes my presentation.
Okay, would you like to make any comments, applicant? Come on forward and then just state your name for the record and then.
My name is Ruth Adekunle. My husband is the primary applicant for Transport Me. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a place to park our buses for our small transportation company so that we can have our own space to do it rather than paying the high oil field cost of basically truck parking. That's what everybody defines it as, no matter how small the bus is. So basically what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to have this space on our own land so that we can keep the costs low for mainly our school busing enterprise, because we are not affiliated with the school district. We are working directly with parents, and parents have to pay us directly. And in order to keep those costs low, we got to try to figure out a way to keep our costs low. And by being able to park our buses on our own land, that would make a significant difference in our costs.
Travel time or transport time?
Transport me.
Transport me?
Transport me.
I think we all can appreciate that there is a high cost. Go ahead, Commissioner Montgomery.
Just a question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. The buses that you have for the schools, is this in lieu of the busing that the school already does themselves?
This is basically a service to fill the gap. There is a lack of busing for a lot of families. The only children that currently get busing in Williston, it used to be all ones going to District 8 schools, but now it's only students living outside of town going to outside of town schools. Anyone that's living inside of town do not qualify for busing unless they are on an IEP as a special needs student or they fall under the McKinney-Vento Act. There are a lot of parents, especially single parents, that have no other way to bring their children to school. And that's what we initially started the company for, is because we want to provide a more affordable transportation for parents, because a lot of parents prior to us were paying taxi cabs to get to and from school, and a lot of them could not afford to do that because it was a minimum of maybe $20 to $30 per day for some of these parents.
So is most of your service then within the city limits of Williston?
Yes, sir.
Have you had any conversations with the school district on whether or not you could park your buses on their property?
Not this year. We have previously tried and failed to talk to the superintendent, Dr. Thake, and he is unwilling to talk to us.
Have you tried to address the school board?
We've tried sending messages, we've tried getting ourselves heard, and so far we have not had any luck getting any communication back. It's always, you need to go talk to this person, you need to go talk to this person. Or just straight up, we're not interested in providing any more transport than what we're providing.
Okay. Just one more question, if I may. You indicated that you have 2, possibly 3 coach buses that Williston State College. Are those buses still owned by the college?
The only one that's owned by the college is the Williston State College Foundation bus. We actually have 2 coaches that we purchased for the contract that we have with Williston State College, and those ones are ours.
Perfect. I can attest to the fact, I think my wife read me a post on Facebook from a single mom looking for a way to get her kid to and from school. So I know the need is real out there. This example is a gal that had to go to work at 7 a.m. and had no way of getting her kid to school. So you're definitely filling a need. However, the land use is an issue. Is there other opportunity? My thinking is there's probably a good citizen out there in the form of a existing trucking company or somebody that would allow you guys to have some parking. But
we've been searching for a very long time to try to find someone that would allow us to park. Basically, most of them are charging at a minimum $100 per bus to park, and that's only usually during the summer. Prices go up in the winter.
Obviously, you need to be plugged in and, yeah.
So a little history, there's two buildings here, correct? I mean, not on their property, but then there's like 40 acres here total, and there's two of these red top buildings that somebody built. Oh, would have been, I think there's one down in that bottom corner too, isn't there? Is that whole chunk of land yours?
That just the square, like that one, that 8.7 acres is ours.
The buildings were built, and this is probably 8-10 years ago, 7-8 years ago anyway, but they built them with the intention of selling them to a trucking company, but never approached the Round Prairie Township Board and to basically, can we do this? Can we have these commercial businesses? And they were never sold as such. So that's my limited knowledge of how they came about and have never been occupied. I would assume they've been permitted, built, but not, I don't think they were ever sold to anybody.
I believe they were permitted as residential homes and CO'd as such, or residential like shop house. And Bo, you're correct. I think the first call I ever got on that property was in 2013. They had a big advertisement, commercial shop for sale off the highway. However, it was not zoned as so, and the complaint to us came from Round Prairie Township. And I had spoke with the township, and at the time, the realtor, I believe, selling it, I spoke with her and informed her, and she did not realize that either. And I think they took the commercial part off, but you're right. That has been there for some time, not being able to be sold because it was kind of marketed incorrectly.
And we were not aware of the previous history of this land, the person that previously owned the land. Like, we were marketed to it that, oh yeah, there's no problem. You can park your bus, you can do your businesses and everything here. We were not told otherwise until after the fact.
So you made the purchase and then you found out, or did you talk to planning and zoning ahead of the purchase?
We tried to talk to planning and zoning because she was like, oh, there's going to be no problem with you. She was all like, do something and ask questions later, is what she told us. Because we wanted to apply for a conditional use permit.
Yes, I assume that was. I assume that wasn't.
It wasn't planning and zoning.
We caught that right away. You can
Yeah.
breathe again. It's okay.
It wasn't her. It was the owner, the previous owner of the property. And the realtor was there when she was talking to us about this. Yeah, he's the one who brought us out. I think this would be perfect for you. You're what you needed to use, and so we wanted to apply for the permit before we even made the agreement. But the previous property owner would not allow us to do that. So we didn't understand why until afterwards.
Dirty pool.
Yeah. So
Because that can happen ahead of time, right? You can make application as long as the previous owner signs off.
correct. Yeah. And from my understanding, so we had met before they purchased the property. I told them, you have to go through the zone change and get a CUP. But because you don't own this property, you'll have to get the current owner to sign the application. Well, she wouldn't sign the application, so they went ahead and purchased the property and then tried to apply for this themselves. And that's where we are now.
Understood.
And did you apply for this knowing that, or are they here because there was a complaint about buses being parked out there already?
We had a couple buses out there parked, and we got the complaint, and we didn't know that it was going to be such a big issue trying to do all of that. And we are sorry for that.
When you're talking about buses, what size buses are you talking about?
We had a few school buses out there, 77 passenger school
Oh,
buses.
big, yeah, the big traditional size bus or bigger. Okay,
Traditional size, that's
Okay.
what their average.
okay.
How about school district 8? Don't they have places that they park buses?
There isn't one anymore. That's gone. So it's 7, it's the same school board, and it's Dr. Thake is the one that's in charge.
But they park in town over kind of what is on,
Over there by Natwick's house over there.
sure. Oh, okay.
You know, they could park them at Missouri Ridge School.
The problem is we can't say that.
Yeah.
I have a hard time figuring out why the school district and the school board wouldn't work with these people and get figure it out, because they're only benefiting their students.
I guess I would call the school district office and request to get on the agenda.
Okay, like, any other questions for the applicants? Any other comments from the applicants?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. What is the wishes of the board?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Go ahead.
My husband was just asking me if I had mentioned the fact that the only people that would be coming to our property are our bus drivers and us, because none of our customers come to us.
Right.
So there wouldn't be an increase, there wouldn't be customer traffic or continued traffic. It would, for school busing, it would be morning and night, and then the coach busing and shuttle busing is on a need basis as needed, so it's not a constant flow of traffic in and out.
Okay. The silence is tough. This board is quiet because I think there's a lot of empathy for what you're doing. The problem is the land use is maybe the issue, but I can't speak for the whole board, but there's a lot of silence going on right here.
Well, you're certainly correct. I guess, Steve, I will certainly agree with you. Can you tell us how many children you're transporting a day?
Currently, our current enrollment is how many?
About 80. Yeah, no, 180. Yeah, that can pay. Yeah. Had
Uh,
some.
If you're transporting that many students, just my opinion and suggestion to you is I would get those parents together and go see if you can't meet with the school board and work out some sort of arrangement, because it seems like to me that's an awful lot of students that you're transporting that's going to affect a lot of different lives. As Commissioner Kemp stated, you know, our responsibility here is to look at the zoning. And obviously being a residential, I mean, I personally feel for you, I really do, but there's two things that are out of our control. One, obviously the dealing that you had with the realtor and the previous owner. And I firmly believe that you should be able to work out something with the school district. That's just my opinion.
Is there something that we can do as a board from a temporary use until they can find another option?
So currently, there are no buses out there, so they are utilizing some other parking space.
Oh, okay.
Could we table this until they get a chance to actually talk with the school board
That's
and
it.
see, I mean, because I just can't understand how they can't, the school board doesn't do something to fix this issue. Well, I would make a motion to table this until they get a chance to visit with the school board.
And
I would-
encourage the school board to work with them?
Yes, and David's right. Bring your students, folks with them, because that'll carry quite a little weight.
Yeah.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table this. Is there any additional discussion? Again, understanding that we're not denying, we're not approving. We have a question from the audience or comment? Yep. And then just state your name for the record.
My name is Scott Stevens.
Okay,
I live in Grand Prairie Township, and I live on County Road 1A. And it looks like they're not planning on accessing through 1A. But there is a slope right there where you turn on 1A that's relatively steep, and it gets hammered. Like, it spends about more than half the time being barely, you can barely traverse it. It's getting tore up big time. It needs no added traffic at all until hopefully one day it'll be paved. But as long as it remains gravel, it's a washboard continually. So I would hope that we don't add anything. There's enough oil field traffic on it now that's blasting it big time.
Okay.
And also, we'd like not to have our nice neighborhood degraded. We moved out there because it was residential, and it's nice. We like it that way.
okay,
Thank you.
appreciate the comment.
Stevens.
And just for reference as well, so that West Round Prairie Avenue, it's a public road and it's maintained by the township.
Okay, so we are in the midst of discussion on tabling this and encouraging District 1 to support them. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. So again, we haven't approved anything, we haven't denied anything, but we are encouraging the school district to support you in whatever way they can in your busing outfit, our operations.
Steve, is there anything, I mean, we can say it here, but if the whole school board's not sitting watching us, which I assume they're busy too, is there anything we need to do to help with the encouragement? I mean,
Could we send a letter of support? Okay.
It'd probably be a Karen question.
that's why I was staring at Karen. I think we all was like,
Yes, of course you can send a letter of support. But the question I would want to know is make sure that we have all of the facts right, though, really, about the number of students that they're servicing and, yeah, so
And who would you suggest would be the perfect person or people to do that? Fact finding.
well, I mean,
Well, but wouldn't it,
Yeah.
but as far as like the school board goes, I mean, it wouldn't matter if it's one
Yeah.
student or 100 students, the school board is still supposed to be best interested in the students'
Yep.
best interest. I
Sure.
mean,
that's a good
the-
point, though. Yeah, that's a good point. So, of course, you can send a letter of support, so.
Okay, well, I would entertain a motion that
I'm,
states.
I'm certainly all in favor of sending a letter of support, but I think with the discussion that we've had today, and I would tend to believe that if any of the news media is watching, whether it's the Williston Herald or the radio stations, I think the word has gotten out that there's a letter of support right there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
So does that mean you still want an actual physical letter of support, or?
it wouldn't be worthwhile? Oh, would be worthwhile too?
if they receive letters of support from their constituents, I guess, I think it would be only fitting that we would write one also.
Okay,
And not to make it somebody else's problem, but I'm assuming that would have to come from Lindsay. She's our communication, so if she has some basic, need to get basic information, total number of students, total number of buses, all that, and then draft a letter, bring it to the commission, and we'll approve or disapprove.
okay, we're getting some direction here. All right,
I think you could just direct Lindsay to draft a little recap of what happened here, which we can give them. I don't know that it needs to be
Approved,
full of
yeah.
facts, and I don't know that it needs to be, come back before this group. I'll just do a little recap.
I think time is of the essence, so that probably makes a lot of sense, so.
Yep.
Okay, I will make that motion, direct Helen to draft a letter of support of a recap of today's meeting and send it with them in support of their endeavor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David, Barry,
Yes.
Corey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Just one quick question. Do you want this on the agenda 30 days from now, 2 weeks from now? I mean, just so these people will know maybe when,
I think
how much of a
it'd be
deadline they have.
After they get to meet with the school board. I mean,
When would be the next, does anybody know when the next school board meeting is? Google?
Well, it might be better for them to just be in contact with Sam, since they've already been in
There you
contact
go.
with her, so.
Yeah. So you'll understand to get in contact with Sam as soon as you have an opportunity to present to the school board for an opportunity for a place to park your buses and
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do for the public. Okay. Excellent, thank you. That's all from planning and zoning? All right. Beth, we're moving on to auditor, Diamond Resources. And some correspondence.
Karen? Yeah? Just correspondence of what, it's just correspondence of what they're gonna be doing with the Buddy 1-27H, and they're gonna turn it into a natural gas injection well.
Why did we get notified on this? Is this something that is a,
Because we have an interest.
oh, we have an interest, okay. Thank you. Okay. Moving on. Finance. Good morning, Christy.
Christy Hansen, Finance. I'm here today with an amended CVB County Visitor Promotion Agreement for distribution of our county lodging and restaurant tax. As you recall, we had an initial agreement in 2019, which was good for 2 years, upon which the county and CVB could mutually agree to renew as is or amend. This agreement you have today is amended only for the purpose of distributing the tax to the CVB. What we've been doing is distributing their whole budget as tax is collected, but going forward, we want to do it quarterly, based on their plans, reports they submit to communications, and so forth. So if you approve this amended version today, then this agreement will go back to automatically renewing every 2 years unless written notice is provided to terminate or the agreement is otherwise amended.
Okay. What are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement as presented and authorize the chairman to sign.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Bo? Okay. Hearing no discussion, Beth, roll call vote.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes. Okay, next.
Next.
Motion passes, sorry.
Okay. That's the magic words I was waiting for. Next, we're here to talk about the Township Loan Program. It's been discussed in the past at commission meetings. Finance Committee has discussed it. You all discussed it at budget review. Finance was tasked with coming up with some documents. We wanted to base our program documents on the behavioral health grant program because it seems to be working very well. So Julie Larson, our staff accountant, and Karen, and Lindsay had some insight too, have put together a packet of documents for you. And instead of making you read through all of them, I thought maybe it would be good if Julie came up and gave you some highlights.
Perfect. Good morning, Julie.
Larson, Finance Department. Hi.
Good morning.
I want to just give you the Cliff Notes version. It is pretty detailed. I was pleased with the combination of all of our skill sets, Lindsay, Karen, and me, and Christy, to put this together, but it is pretty lengthy. So the Cliff Notes basically are this. Williams County will provide up to $1 million per year for townships to apply for improvement projects. Anything in Century Code that's stated as an improvement project, such as roads, beautification projects, drainage, things like anything that Century Code would allow for an improvement project to be financed by special assessments. We are keeping those projects at a max of $250,000. So that would be also the total amount of loan award we would give to an individual township in a year. So those would be capped at 250 both. The loans themselves are up to the sole discretion of the Board of County Commissioners. So they would be the ones to ultimately approve those applications. Williams County will be managing those, but they will be township special improvement districts. But we are charging an administration fee of $1,000 plus 3% of the loan award to be to manage those specials and those improvement districts. The actual financing management of those, and also the collecting of the special assessments. And those projects must be completed within 2 years. We are also requiring townships, in order to apply for these loan awards, to have gone through all the Century Code requirements to set up an improvement district, and also be have a history of levying at least 9 mills for a minimum of 3 consecutive years. The one thing that I wanted to address on this is we had some due dates for the application and the decision. I think originally we had said that the application would be due in March and the decisions would be made in an April Board of County Commissioners meeting. After talking to several people, including Dennis, about timetables, we are asking that timetable be put to be earlier in the year, mainly because of the townships. Once they're approved, they're going to have to go to bid for these projects. They're going to need to do that, and just enough time needs to be put, kind of lead time from the award to get those contractors lined up to get some favorable rates for an actual project to be done. So we're asking that the application be moved up to January 15th and have that decision made in a February Board of County Commissioners meeting.
Where's that actually?
The request, the due dates?
Yeah.
The due dates are, it would be under township responsibilities, that the application's by March 1st. And then The county responsibilities would be, oh, yes,
Oh, the timeline.
yeah, okay, yeah, so see there, thought there was a timeline too.
So it'd be
But that's-
January 1.
It'd be January 15th. I thought January 1 might be a little early in the year, just knowing the holidays and such, that January 15th would probably be a more appropriate time for the application to be due, but then the actual applications be presented and awarded in February.
Do I have the wrong one then? Because this one says March 1st.
No, she just was
No.
asking you.
Yeah, they,
That-
yes,
You
yeah.
didn't change.
Amending it, right, because really what we based this on was feedback that we had gotten previously from the budget meetings and such, so.
And then, April, the Williams County Board of Commissioners loan application review and approval.
Yes, the approval, yeah, we're asking to move that up to February.
Put it up to February instead of April.
Mm-hmm, correct,
Okay.
So January 15th and the first meeting in February.
correct.
Okay.
Sorry, I just wanted
No,
to
that's okay, yeah,
acknowledge
right,
you.
right.
Thank you.
Okay. What are the, well, is there anything further, Julie?
Are there any questions from the program at all? Or-
Pretty thorough. Very nicely done.
Okay,
are-
then I guess I have, I'm asking for a motion to approve the program documents as amended with the time change. The
Okay.
deadline changes.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Alrighty. Is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none. Beth, roll call vote.
David,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then you'll give me, you'll send me, when I get signed.
Bless you. Christie, anything else on the mill levies, blah, 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 any of this other, sorry, I didn't mean blah, blah, blah. That's a very inappropriate general statement. Okay. Yes. That's a lot of hard work that somebody put into something. Okay, Dennis, you're up.
All I have today is April 21st is County Road Day from 4 to 7. And the advertisements will be out. What's that? September would be a better month. April's a ways away. From 4 to 7, yep, advertisement will go out. Lindsay and everybody's working on it. Other than that, that's it.
Wait, quick. Okay. Karen?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
The first thing I have on there is usually something that's under the auditors, but since Beth was gone, I thought I'd just stick it under here. So we just received some division orders for an oil and gas lease that we own in, or that we have in Hoffman Township, and I just want the board to authorize Beth as that county auditor to sign off on the division orders with some certain provisions and they're stricken.
Okay.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, it's like, I guess I'm asking just sort of in general, that whenever we get division orders, that as long as I look at them, that Beth can just sign off on them without really having to come back to the board.
Okay.
Sure. Or I could just come back every time though, too. I mean, if that's what you prefer. Okay, yep, sure.
Okay, what are the wishes of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve authorize Beth to sign the division order as changed by Karen.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion or any discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Do you also want to put that in as long as Karen reviews them to go ahead and have me sign them, or you just want them to come every time?
Okay.
Who
Good with the
seconded?
second?
I did.
Corey, you good
And
with
that's
that?
fine.
Okay. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Beth, roll call vote.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, on to the next item regarding the draft ordinance. I spoke to the Board of County, to you guys, well, I guess, I spoke to the Board of County Commissioners last meeting and the meeting before about possibly changing the ordinance we enacted under our home rule charter regarding disposal of county property because state tax foreclosure law had changed, and so I wanted to make our ordinance a little bit stronger to say that we will keep the excess funds rather than keeping them for the owner and then send them to the state abandoned property law. So anyways, I've redrafted the home rule charter ordinance that we have. If you look, you should have a copy of this, but if you look on page 3, it basically says that any excess proceeds, that means proceeds after we pay the taxes, special assessments, the penalties and the interest and the cost of the foreclosure action, after we pay those, then any excess proceeds will be kept by the county and go into the general fund, and we'll use it to pay maintenance, insurance on the property while we've had it, and then anything else will just be left in the county general fund to be disposed of by the board as it sees fit, really.
Perfect.
And then also, if you look on page 4, which you should have, it just specifically says that this ordinance supersedes anything under state law that's contrary, really. So I just wanted to sort of
1-2 punch it?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, good description. Yep. So I'm just wanting to know if these revisions are okay, and if they're okay, then my plan is to have a first reading of this ordinance at the next Board of County Commissioners meeting. And then I'll have the second reading of it at the second meeting in October, because we're having that weird October 5th meeting. I just thought it'd be better to have the second reading at the second meeting. So, but this will, if we have the first reading, the second reading by October, then we'll have plenty of time because the annual sale isn't until November. So we really wouldn't need this ordinance until after that. So,
Perfect. So no action required.
no, I just want to know if these revisions are okay though, really. And it's okay for
Just, I'm not to be that guy, but there's a little bit of a typo in that one paragraph.
sure. Which one?
It just says, county general fund and then it says and period, and then there's.
Oh, yeah,
does,
I see that. No, I
okay.
appreciate that. Thank you. Yep. No, hey, I appreciate that, yeah.
Yes, yeah, I was just gonna say, once a teacher, always a teacher, yeah.
I forgot my red pen, so.
And no star for you.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take care of it, send you the paper. I'll do that. Yep.
Just let me know when, so
Yep.
that I can put it on.
Yep. Okay, yep. Okay, the third item is the opioid litigation update. I don't know if you've heard or not, but there were several states, but not North Dakota, that sued Purdue Pharmacy, Johnson & Johnson, also their US-based organization called Janssen. They also sued, those were manufacturers of opioids. And they also sued a couple of distributors, including Cardinal Health, McKesson, and a company called Amerisource. Well, apparently, these different states' attorneys have settled into a global settlement agreement where the distributors and the manufacturers would provide about $26 billion over like an 18-year period. The distributors get like, I believe, up to 18 years, and then the manufacturers get up to 9 years. Then manufacturers will contribute about $5 million, and then the distributors will contribute about $1 million to it. No, $1 billion. Billion. Yeah, that's a lot more money. So
Yeah.
anyways, and so the idea is, however, it's a global settlement. So that means that even though there was only some of the states that were involved in this, in initially suing these people, the other states and counties within that state and parishes within those other states, they get to participate in this national settlement though too. So the state of North Dakota has already signed off on this agreement, so they want to participate in it. Because the state has already signed off, and that means that we as a county get to participate in it, but we would have to sign off on saying we approve this settlement. However, the only problem with that is that we, as you recall, a couple of years ago, we hired a private law firm along with some other cities and counties to sue some of these same people. And so there's a possibility, well, a very strong possibility that it's gonna affect ours. And so I reached out to the private law firm that's representing the county and these other ones to see how it's gonna affect and see what they say about it. But I haven't really heard back from them. But I wanted you to know that we, in order to, we have until January 2022 to approve the settlement agreement from the other states did. So we have some time to do that, but I wanted to give you a heads up that there's that settlement out there. We might be able to participate. It just depends on what our the private law firm that's representing the county views about this whole thing, really. Because if we go with the one from the states, these other states, that means that we'd have to release the claims in the other one with the private law firm. So we, there's like some I have to get information from the private law firm first. So also, in addition to that too, as you recall, the state of North Dakota through the AG's office also sued Purdue Pharmacy, and that's also part of the private law firm that we have, the lawsuit that we have. However, actually, in that case, the district court in Burleigh County actually dismissed the Attorney General's action. They said that the Purdue Pharma was not responsible or anything like that. However, the North Dakota Attorney General has appealed that decision to the North Dakota Supreme Court, but because Purdue filed bankruptcy, they have now put that appeal on hold in 2019. So that one is on hold. There's this possible global settlement for all states and all counties and parishes, but then there's also our private law, our private legal action, really. So I just wanted you to be aware that there's that settlement is out there in case you've read about it, but I also want you to know that it might affect our other private action, really, that I have to wait to hear from them. And I was hoping to hear from them before this morning, but I haven't, so. But they are working on a response because I have been in contact with them. So I just wanted you to be aware of some of these things that are going on, really.
And what did you say has happened with the state?
The case is on hold right now. Yeah, we're at the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you had any questions or if I completely.
So the
muddied-
states, well, no, the states, the global settlement is going to end up being similar to like the tobacco settlement, I would
I
assume.
think that they're trying to do something like that, but yeah.
So the money would end up in public health likely, and, yeah.
Well, plus
Yeah.
the idea with this global settlement too is that if the county somehow did end up participate in it, we would only be able to participate in it by either having an agreement with the state or the state would have to enact certain laws in terms of how it's supposed to be spent, really. So it's not like, money, the state of North Dakota get money and then they just pass it on to directly. It would have to be through an agreement or through state law.
Yeah, okay.
And the Attorney General right now is suggesting that maybe they might draft some sort of legislation to present to the next session, really, for distribution of these things. And again, the more states and the more counties and other subdivisions that participate in it, the more it will be. So when I said that there's up to $26 billion, that's the maximum, but that doesn't mean an exact amount. I mean, if there's not all the states and all the counties and parishes to participate, that number will go down, really. And in fact, when I Googled something, a number of states have already said that they're not agreeing to this, really. So, but the state of North Dakota has. So, it's still really in flux a little bit. But all states had until August 21st to approve or disapprove the global settlement, and then all counties and parishes and subdivisions have until January 2022 to decide. So we really won't know anything definite about how much is actually going to be available until probably early next year.
Okay. Thanks for the update.
Yeah. So, anybody have any questions, or do you understand there's like 3 different moving parts here? Or?
Yeah, we don't have to, as long as you presented. No, it's pretty clear.
Okay, so
Thank
had
you.
you read about the global settlement?
Had not.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, oh, good, I'm glad I told you something new. So,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Karen.
and I'll give you an update later on. If for some reason that we need to have any kind of an executive session regarding our private lawsuit, then I will schedule that too, but I'll let you know, so. All right,
Perfect.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
You're up, Levi. Sorry, Dr. Zahn.
Good morning. I'm Levi Zahn from Williston Vector Control. Just here to update the commission and get some forms signed for the IRT, which is the Innovative Readiness Training Program from the U.S. Air Force. So if the board is not aware, the district has been working with the Air Force for over 10 years now to help control mosquitoes within the district area. And so this program is a training program where they are able to use their funds that would otherwise be expended training their personnel and use it for some public benefit. So we have the Air Force come out, spray, and take care of all that. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, it's pretty simple, straightforward. I think everybody's aware of this project because we do this every single year, so.
Yeah, and if you haven't noticed a C-130 flying at about 250 feet above ground over your house, maybe Barry, but since they don't spend a lot of time there, you must live under a rock if you haven't noticed it by now, but. Good.
Yeah, they're all over the pretty much the southern part of the county and Williston and Watford City, depending if they need it or not. And so just part of the whole application process, we just need to get some forms signed, a release and hold harmless, and a management agreement. The management agreement is a little bit redundant. Basically, it just says that Williams County lets Williston Vector Control handle all of the operations, which is sort of already the case, but it's just more of covering our butts, so.
The CYA factor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Karen's reviewed these documents and
Yep.
said they're all above water, so.
Perfect. So we just need a motion authorizing chairman to sign?
Yes.
Okay.
I will make that motion.
Perfect. Is there a second? Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Beth, roll call vote.
Barry,
Yes.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Zahn.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Helen. Your turn.
I'd love some walk-up music sometime. Okay, I have a modification. So, the process is that I complete this document, and I've been trying to get it to Beth a little earlier so that it can be a part of your packet, but that will mean that sometimes there are changes. I was on vacation on Friday. We were off on Monday, but we've had some things. And so we are looking for approval to fill the staff planner position, which you see on the piece of paper before you or on the email that you got. Taylor has welcomed another child into her family, is going to stay home. So that's the reason behind that. But I am adding 2 sheriff's deputies positions. We have received notice from one deputy that he is going back to another law enforcement agency. He's worked for us for a few years, but he's going back to a different. And someone is leaving the field, I believe. So we have a couple of openings there.
Okay.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Beth, roll call vote.
Corey,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's all I have.
Wow. Okay. There's only one thing left on the agenda unless anybody else has anything. Yes, we're adjourned. 9:10.
you.